Hi, so this is the video of Amunemhet IV and Queen Sobeknefru. Now, it's quite interesting as to who this person might be, Amunemhet IV. Was he a son or a nephew of Amunemhet III, or was he adopted by him? We know that there was probably a co-regency of 3 years with Amunemhet III before he died, and then he ruled Egypt in his own right for 9 years. So we're talking 1815 BCE to 1806 BCE. Then was there a relationship with Queen Sobeknefru? Were they married? Were they related to each other? Because upon the death of Amunemhet IV, she assumes the throne at in 1806 BCE to 1802 BCE, so 4 years. And how did this 12th dynasty come to an end? How did this Middle Kingdom start to collapse and disintegrate when it had been so successful? I mean, we really need to look back at the past kings. So if we have a look at Amunemhet I, he ruled Egypt for 29 years. That's a really successful reign. Kings who ruled for about 20 to 25 years gave a really good, stable government in Egypt for the successors to follow. But then Senusret I ruled Egypt for 45 years. So that was a hell of a long reign. So that meant that his crown prince, the successor, may have died before him. Maybe his second son came to the throne. So was Amunemhet II the second son or the first son? But he ruled Egypt for 34 years. Wow, these are long reigns. Then Senusret II, 19, Senusret III, 39 years, and then Amunemhet III, which was 46 years. So, taking into account, all of these things led to the downfall of this 12th dynasty, in my opinion, of course. If you look at the chronology from early dynastic up to now, the successful kings and the successful dynasties are kings who rule between 20-25 years. Once they start hanging on for a long time, like Pepi II, 100 years, 90, 100 years, then things start going wrong. Successors don't get installed as the new kings, and everything can collapse. Let's think about what's been achieved in this 12th dynasty so far. Well, we've got the land reforms. So the nomarchs have been cut out of the picture, and the contracts is between the peasant farmers and the king. The people are now called Remet, the people. They're no longer counted with the cattle counts, the taxation. They are human beings now. Wow. People have got the rights of Osiris. So if you can afford to build a tomb, furnish a tomb, have the magical spells in your tomb, you too can go to the afterlife. It's not just kings only, it's available for everyone. Wow, that's amazing. Then of course you've got those the reform of all the gods, all the major deities, the Ra Hakati. So all of the powerful deities are now a form of the sun god Ra. That's a clever thing there, done by Senusret II. By doing that, he obviously confiscated lands, but took control of the clergy, the priesthood. Then we saw the great soldier, Senusret III, went down into Kush. We don't really know the conditions in Kush, but we know that it's a civilized society and it's organized, and maybe he saw it as a threat to the gold mines. Then the great builder, of course, Amunemhet III. Did he really preempt the Aswan Dam? Well, Karl Butzer thought he did because there was graffiti on the rocks there measuring different heights of floods and things like that. And then that huge canal, wow, called the Joseph Canal, again built by Amunemhet III. So, not a lot to say about these two. We don't really know much about Amunemhet IV and Queen Sobeknefru. But Ernest Mackay went to a place called Mazgahena. It's about 5 kilometres down the road from Dashur. And he found a ground floor plan of a pyramid. So what they had done was they dug a massive hole out of the earth. They put in a big block of quartzite and they carved a burial chamber out of it with a sarcophagus and a lid. Then they built all the descending passageways, filled it all in, and then they were going to build the pyramid. And that's the northern pyramid at Mazgahena. He did the season there in 1910, but it was William Matthews Flanders Petrie who finished the excavation there in 1911. And Petrie suggested that it was very similar in design to the Hawara pyramid, and maybe this pyramid was used by Queen Sobeknefru for burial. Then Petrie went to the southern part of Mazgahena and he found another pyramid plan. It was exactly the same as the northern one. It was going to be slightly bigger. They dug a big hole, they put in a block of quartzite, then they built an upper and lower chamber and descending passageway and filled it all in. And Petrie thought, well, we are talking sort of 1912 now, and it's a good fit to say, well, this could be the burial place of Amunemhet the Fourth. Okay, so at that time it was a good fit. What's interesting about this upper and lower burial chamber, we saw it at Hawara and we saw it at South Saqqara with the Black Pyramid, and also down in El Laron with Somerset II's pyramid had upper and lower chambers. Now, we could say that this was the Indiana Jones thing, the secret tomb, so no one could defile it, and maybe it was. But an upper and lower chamber, maybe that was something to do with the underworld being the lower chamber and the upper chamber being the chamber of rebirth for the King's Spirit, enabling the King's Spirit to journey through the duat and to the afterlife. Maybe that's why they went to the trouble of producing 2 chambers. You only needed a burial chamber and a descending passageway. They've gone to all this effort to create these other chambers. There must have been a reason for it, and that's what I think it was for. So the lower chamber was the underworld and the upper chamber was the rebirth. Anyway, later on, an archaeologist suggested that these 2 pyramids, the northern and southern pyramid plans at Mazgahena, were actually built during the 13th dynasty and had nothing to do with Amunemhet IV and Queen Sobeknefru. So if they weren't buried at Mazgahena, where do you think they might be buried? Well, I'm betting and guessing, putting my hands up here, that it was the Black Pyramid at South Saqqara, simply because it had lots of intricate niches and a cobweb of tunnels underground. And I think once the pyramid had failed, they shored up the parts that may have been a problem and used it as a family mausoleum. And in the case of Queen Sobeknefru, she needs to bury Amenhotep IV quickly. And he died, his pyramid's not finished, if he did build a pyramid at all. and she put him into the family mausoleum at South Saqqara. She was only on the throne for 4 years. She didn't really have a time to do anything. So her successor, a king of the 13th dynasty, it would have been really easy to say, well, that's the family mausoleum. I've given burial to the old Horus. I'm now the new Horus. So all these things can be taken into consideration. Yes, so the end of the 12th dynasty. There is a 13th dynasty that follows this, and I'll do a video on it. Other things though is during this period we get lots of spells, over 1,000 spells called, and they're painted on coffins. So I'm going to do a quick video on coffin text because that's another exciting development. We had the pyramid text, which was in the Old Kingdom. In the Middle Kingdom, those texts are going on coffins. They're not going in. They're not going inside pyramid walls. They're going on coffins. So these are the rich nobility. They're the ones who can afford those big, expensive BMWs, the wooden coffins, and the Rolls Royces, of course. Anyway, I'll talk about that in another video. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope it was informative. Please press the subscribe button. It all helps. At the moment there are 31 subscribers, so I still need another 70 before I can ask for a domain name for this channel. And that's it. Bye for now. See you soon.